and was diagnosed with depression. He had an artificial urinary sphincter implanted on December 14, 2010. He got very sick after the operation, with a high temperature of 104 to 105 degrees, redness and swelling in his pelvis. His fast worsening condition, despite intensive antibiotic treatment, pointed to a serious problem. 10 days down the road, on Christmas Eve, he was rushed to UCLA Hospital's emergency room after receiving the potentially fatal diagnosis of sepsis. He had emergency surgery on Christmas morning to remove the prosthetic sphincter and drain fluid from his pelvic region. After enduring intense agony and hefty medicine, an out-of-body experience was triggered after the installation of a urinary catheter. Even though his body was under a heavy sedative and seemed to be asleep, his mind was completely alert and functioning normally. From his vantage point above the operating table, he could hear every word spoken by the doctors and nurses. From the medics donning eucalyptus-scented masks to conceal the stench of pus in his pelvis, he vividly observed every aspect of the surgery. Additionally, he couldn't repeat an improper joke that he overheard an anesthesiologist making. The anesthesiologist later admitted to the occurrence while in the recovery area. His awareness, an extended and heightened type of consciousness, was entirely intact. He distinctly remembered being in the operating theater, watching his body from roughly 10 to 15 feet in the air, close to the surgeons working on him. His senses were highly heightened, allowing him to see, hear, and smell everything in the room, even faraway happenings. Concurrently, his mind tuned into a conversation between his mother and sister in India, who discussed their dinner arrangements and the freezing temperature, relying on a small electric heater for warmth. His discovery was the unity of his awareness, unbounded by physical distance. However, instead of shifting to a calm, love-filled reality, his awareness switched to a place surrounded by a big wildfire. In this place, black beings with 2 horns and crooked fangs wandered menacingly. He found himself in the thick of this conflict, observing a violent and persistent storm with lightning striking through black clouds. The air was filled with the bitter fragrance of burning flesh. It didn't take long for him to realize that he was in a condition of anguish, practically in hell. Surrounded by echoes of agonizing souls and tormented to horrible torments, he experienced unthinkable suffering. Needles penetrated his body, and he was compelled to lie on a bed of nails, blood oozing from his wounds. In the midst of this suffering, he questioned his life's activities, both past and current, that would have deserved such anguish. Amidst the atrocities, he got insights about the materialistic character of his earthly existence, which had concentrated around self-centered ambitions, always seeking personal benefit from others. He began to understand the absence of love, compassion, and forgiveness in his life, especially for people he regarded beneath him in social or professional hierarchies. Profound guilt for his lack of warmth and empathy flooded over him, and he wished for a chance to rewrite his acts. As these epiphanies unfurled, the hold of hell started to loosen. His father emerged, flanked by his grandfather, extending a guiding hand and leading him along a tunnel into a brilliant white light at the tunnel's conclusion. The travel through the tunnel felt like an adventure through dimensions beyond time and space, residing in 2 worlds of consciousness. Inwardly, he experienced Shanti, an unfathomable cosmic harmony unifying everyone in the universe, a wonderful, calm environment. Simultaneously, he basked in the presence of a soothing, loving, formless bluish light, an entity exuding supreme love, wisdom, and knowledge. He remained in the tunnel with his father, bearing witness to his past, present, and future. His prior existence unfurled before him, picturing an Indian prince from medieval times mercilessly oppressed the underprivileged. He also glimpsed himself 200 years earlier, an Afghan opium farmer caught by addiction. Guided by his father, he achieved a great awareness. He detected how his present existence reflected the habits of past lifetimes, defined by a lack of sympathy for the less fortunate, misuse of material possessions, and battles with addiction. Non-verbally, his father transmitted a message that resonated within him: maintain clarity of consciousness, and remain true to yourself, and the universe and the divine will watch over you. These statements bore significant importance, recalling the last words his father had spoken before his death 20 years before. As his father escorted him through the tunnel, holding his hand, a sense of tremendous reassurance enveloped him. He knew his life was experiencing a revolutionary redirection. Emerging from the tunnel, he found himself in a region of profound peace, bright light, and unlimited delight. Welcomed by two youthful beings radiating vibrancy, enthusiasm, and love, they communicated without words, announcing themselves as guardian angels named Michael and Raphael. Guiding him through this gorgeous realm, they displayed a vista of meadows, fields decorated with brilliant roses, majestic mountains, and a pristine, crystal-clear stream flowing through the surroundings. Refreshing winds rushed over, carrying beautiful scents, while distant yet plainly heard chants filled the air. Michael and Raphael provided advice on elevated consciousness, emphasizing their duty as helpers. He comprehended that, at their advanced level of consciousness, some form still existed, but there was a formless level, indicating the ultimate state of consciousness. Here, there was no form, simply an all-encompassing force, an entity constituted of pure love. This vast consciousness served as the fundamental truth, the underlying core of everything in the universe, the source of creation. Embracing this newfound awareness, he found himself overwhelmed by a boundless, formless blue light, the light being communicated through whispers like to a soft breeze, permeating every area of this dimension with pure love, impossible to explain with words. His awareness melded with this greatest primordial consciousness, pushing him closer to the light being, amplifying the distant chant, ONG. The light being assured him it wasn't his time to leave Earth, but his path must alter into that of a healer, leaving behind his prior career and material aspirations. It was a drastic turnaround for someone who earlier shied away from public speaking and concentrated completely on a materialistic existence. With unshakable acceptance, he absorbed these messages in the realm of unlimited love and reassurance. In his prior life, those three words, "A Course in Miracles," bore no importance, anchored in his Hindu heritage. But now, he knew his second opportunity was a calling to aid those suffering from pain, addiction, and depression. Upon waking in the recovery room, his journey took a miraculous turn. His recovery shocked the medical professionals. His release from the hospital, recuperation, and change were nothing short of amazing. His life experienced a radical overhaul, downsizing, resolving health difficulties, and becoming more sensitive and caring. His near-death experience motivated him to become a spiritual wellness advocate and author. In 2012, he published his first book, The Soul of Wellness, inspired by the teachings of A Course in Miracles. His fundamental message is around forgiveness, love, and healing, attempting to guide people in their own transformations. His perspective altered totally, inspired by a deep desire to assist and facilitate healing in others. Changes in his life made him suitable for this reason. His road of transformation is continuous, and he's not alone in this route. He knows there's a well-devised plan, even if the future isn't totally obvious yet. In his prior life, he anesthetized people. Now, he awakens them, finding his purpose in the process. This signals the end of today's experience. Feel free to express your ideas in the comments below.